Victoria, and this is my presentation on Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory. So, who was Yuri Bronfenbrenner? He was a Russian born American psychologist whose research focused on the environmental influences on human development. His work emphasized the complex and interconnected environments that shape children's growth, moving beyond a focus on individual traits to consider the broader and social and cultural context. Bronfenbrenner's theory has had a lasting impact on early childhood education, highlighting the importance of relationships, community, and policy in supporting children's well being and development. So, what is the ecological systems theory? Bronfenbrenner believed that kids don't grow up all by themselves. Everything around them helps them become who they are. It's not just about their brain or personality that matters. Their family, school, friends, neighborhood, culture, money, government, and even what's happening around the world all affect how they grow. All these things are connected. If they're supportive, children are more likely to grow and do well. If they're not supportive, development can be harder. In the picture on the right, we see the child in red. Then next is the microsystem, meaning whoever is closest to you, family, friends, teachers. Then the mesosystem, an example would be your teacher working with your mom to support you with at home reading. Then is exosystem, things that impact you even if you aren't there, like your mom losing her job or the school not having enough funds to support extracurriculum activities. Then there's the macro system, which is your cultural beliefs or even society. An example is a law passing that allocates more funding towards after school programs in which all students involved, including yourself, will be able to benefit from. And then there's the chrono system, changes over time that change you. For example, COVID, the loss of a loved one, or moving to a new school. He believed that adults can make these environments better by creating good schools, helpful programs, and fair laws that give children what they need to succeed. Because of his theory, psychologists started studying children in their everyday lives instead of only in laboratories. They wanted to understand how real life experiences shape children's development. So, what are some limitations or criticisms about this theory? The Springer International Handbooks of Education provide information on a range of topics revolving around education, and there were two scholars who challenged Bronfenbrenner's theory within a chapter of the book, Sue Elliott and Julie Davis. They argue that the EST, ecological systems theory, is valuable because it recognizes environmental influences, but it can oversimplify human experiences by focusing too much on external factors and not enough on how individuals actively interpret, respond to, and shape their environments over time. An example of this would be a child being reprimanded by their teacher. Bronfenbrenner's theory is often interpreted as emphasizing that the teacher's response would influence the child's development. However, Elliot and Davis argue that the relationship works both ways. The child's personality and behavior can also influence how the teacher responds, meaning both the child and the environment shape one another. Bronfenbrenner's theory is still widely acknowledged and respected in early childhood education. More recently, though, researchers take the theory a step further. Human development takes nature, nurture, and individual experiences and choices, as Eliot and Davis argue. While there aren't specific ethical concerns with the theory itself, it's still important as educators to remember our own perceptual and implicit biases when applying the theory to our classrooms. We should never assume that the students are products of their environment. In order to combat our biases, we should do our best to bring cultures into the classroom, avoid deficit thinking, and create and uphold relationships with our students and their families. When applying this theory to my own life, I am reminded of two examples, myself in ninth grade and my cousin Julie in ninth grade. Um, In the mesosystem area, when I was falling asleep in my ninth grade biology class, my teacher pulled me out and asked me what was going on. I told her my mom was a caregiver and got a new overnight job. I would have to sleep at my mom's job across town and then wake up super early to make it back on time for school using our only family vehicle. My teacher called my mom and they worked together to ensure that I had enough rest and would still be on time and awake in class. I joined an internship with my teacher's help that allowed me to have a prepaid bus pass from the school. This route ensured that I had a bus pass to school in the mornings and built my resume in the afternoons by doing something positive and productive. Because I had support in my meso system, when there was a change in my exosystem, I was able to navigate it safely. The other example is of my cousin Julie when she was in ninth grade. When she went through something similar as I did, as her mother was always working. However, Julie went to a different school than I did. My school focused on getting students college ready, while Julie's school focused on getting them through high school. Julie's meso system consisted of strong relationships within our community through church and family, but it was weak when it came to educational relationships. When Julie began missing class more and more, no one really checked in on her or her family. In the long run of experiences, my support system allowed me to have the chance to pursue higher education while Julie's did not. In applying this to real life settings, I'm applying it to two parts of my life. One, working with children in my community, and one, working with children in my at work. So I'm a Sunday school teacher at my church for ages 2 to 6 years old. When considering the EST, ecological systems theory, in my Sunday school classroom, I would focus on the microsystem level. For many of my students, I am their first interaction with learning about God, and so my words and actions directly influence their spiritual connection and development with God. So in order to apply the theory to this part of my life, I would create a safe and loving environment, building trusting relationships, modeling Christ like attributes in my own classroom, and involving families in classroom learning. The second application would be to working with children with special needs by creating inclusive learning opportunities. In this next example, I apply the theory to my classroom at work. I'm a special day class teacher for upper elementary schools students with extensive support needs. To apply this theory, I would focus on the microsystem and mesosystem levels. I'd work with other general ed teachers in my classroom's grade levels to do paired reading with peers from general ed and special ed. I would hold activities to celebrate different cultures. And lastly, I would do a parent education night to share resources with our families.